Welcome to Bizemag Podcast. I am Dr. Vaneeta Aggarwal, CEO and founder of L'strategyq Advisors, which is a M&A higher education advisory firm. We also proudly produce our business strategy e-magazine, which is read over all across the world in more than 40 countries, with articles from international experts. And we have this Bizemag podcast where international entrepreneurs, startup launchers, book authors, life coaches, mentors, financial experts, and many more come to share their journey and share their tips with the audience so that our audience can transform their lives in some better way.
I will introduce Ted to our audience today. Ted is an entrepreneur with a versatile background. He is a business owner, author, speaker, trainer, lieutenant colonel, US military, now retired, and Ironman, all world age group triathlete. You can visit him on his website, www.tedmclyman.com. Today, we are going to talk about Discover Your Money Temperament, a common sense guide to financial security. So Ted, I will first ask you, what do you mean by when I read your topic, it was very interesting to me because I am very bad in money management, I must say. I'm very wise that whatever I have, I should spend how much out of it and keep some saving. That's my simple principle. But when you say money temperament and does it make you broke is a very interesting topic to understand.
Yes. Well, thank you. Thank you so much for the opportunity to be here and talk to your audience. I've been working with people and money my entire professional career. When I was in the military, I found that money problems cause significant performance issues, retention issues, and then I taught economics at the United States Naval Academy. There I found some very smart people were doing some very crazy things with money. Built the Marine Corps' financial management program, then worked with our government as an aide to the Secretary of the Navy for financial management. And I know, unlike India, your politicians are probably much more rational than ours, but I found our politicians had trouble with money and setting budgets and doing crazy things. But when I retired, I became an independent financial advisor, worked with hundreds, maybe even thousands of folks. And what I found was we humans, number one, are not necessarily hardwired to work well with money. Our biology gets in the way. Just the way on a daily basis, the way our brains work, money's not a high priority. If you think about it, our biology is ancient, but money's only been around for a few years. And the default option is not to do the detail work, not to work with, your credit cards and your taxes and things like that. The default is emotional in spending money. That's number one. Number two is I've traveled all around the world. I found there's a commonality with money. We may have different monetary systems. We may have different cultures, but we all tend to act very, very human with our money. I don't care if I'm going through a market in Korea or a gold bazaar in Saudi Arabia or some of the bazaars in India or even in the UK, there's a commonality. We're human and we always act very human with money. However, the way we teach money, the way we educate folks on money, literature assumes we're rational, assumes we're going to figure it out. All you've got to do is another spreadsheet, read another book, take another class. And you may be very good in the classroom, but as soon as you go out the door, you're back to normal. So I felt it was time when I was working with my clients. I wrote my first book in 2010, wrote a second book a couple of years ago. Then my current book is Discover Your Money Temperament, a common sense guide to financial security, is intended to be a different approach. It's a book written for people who would never read a book about money, but probably should. And it transcends every culture, every monetary system. Now, we all have a legacy with the UK. So our financial system, the way we work with money tends to be more uniform than we think. And our
Agreed.
economic systems, the way we conduct commerce, our economic systems, there's a lot of commonality. So the bottom line is we're all human and we tend to do really crazy things with our money. India's got one of the fastest growing emerging middle classes in the world. There's more money flowing through India right now than I think there has been in generations. You've got an incredible emerging middle class, a tech industry. They have cash. What are they doing with it? They're buying stuff. Whether they need it or not is not the point. So I felt that we need to understand that the conventional way you've been trained with money probably is technically correct, but it may not be suited for you. Does that help?
Yes. To choose wisely what to do with your money. That is your money temperament.
Yeah. Well, the first thing is, and this is what nobody's doing, and it drives me out of my mind, at least here in the United States, we have experts, talking heads on television, social media that are going to tell you what to do with your money. You have courses in financial literacy. You go for university, go through your school system, and they teach you about money. But they teach it from a very analytical, tactical point of view. They teach you about present value, future value, economics, spreadsheets, doing the math. What they don't address is the behavior. Your behavior, as I said before, is part of your biology. We're just not good at this as humans. Number two is your belief set, which is established by mid-adolescence, and your culture has an incredible impact on your spending patterns and what you think is important about money, and then technology. You know, we could not be doing what we're doing right now as little as 2 or 3 years ago.
Exactly.
So technology puts us in a position that we see things we didn't know we needed before, places we want to go that we didn't know it existed, and we can do it quicker. I know, for example, that digital money does not seem the same as tangible money that you can put in your hands. We have different spending matters. So I sat down with my clients a few years ago and I developed what I call the money behavior system. And the first thing it does is it accepts the fact that we're human, that we're always going to be human and emotional with our money. We're emotional animals who think. We're not thinking animals with emotions. And the more emotional it gets, the more we move into what I call our feeling brain, our primitive brain, which is just reactive. And we like stuff and we do things that way. And then sometimes we have to stop and go, wait a minute, why do I need 2 cars? Why do I need a big house? Why do I need to go on a trip to fill in the blank, which is going to cost me a fortune? So as humans, we're comfortable in our feeling brain. That's our default. When we go to our thinking brain, which is our frontal cortex, the modern brain, that takes effort and energy, and we're uncomfortable there. We want to move back to our comfort zone real quick so it's easy to spend money. So the money behavior system is very simple. First thing is define what is important about money to you. I call it your money value. In other words, these are the things in life that are important to you that cost money. If they don't happen, they will cause you anxiety. And nobody really talks about that. Money values are different than goals. Goals are usually tangible things. New car, new house, new clothes, wherever. But value things are usually family and legacy and making a difference. Those are 2 very, very different things. The values are what drive us, not the stuff. Then your money temperament. Everybody is uniquely wired to have a relationship with money. You could be a spender or a saver. That's a temperament. I don't care what it is. I don't make a judgment, but you need to know what it is. If you get emotional satisfaction out of saving, that's fine. But then you need to have a program that is built around your natural saving instincts. You get emotional satisfaction of saving. But if you're an aggressive saver or a dysfunctional saver, that can cause problems for you and your family. On the other hand, you could be a spender, where you like spending money. You get great emotional satisfaction out of that. You do it in groups, you do it with friends, you do it online. It's easy to spend. That's okay too, but you need to know that propensity. So you need to make it difficult to spend and easy to save. Then, how do you process information? I call this your money knowledge. It's basically, are you a visual learner, an auditory learner? Do you like to touch it? Because that's the way you process information. So when you're working with money and a financial professional, they should present the information to you in a way that you can interpret it. So if you're a visual learner, you should ask for pictures and graphs. If you're a digital person, get a spreadsheet. Then once you understand your values, what's important about money to you, how you naturally process information, and how your money temperament, then build your strategy. But your strategy needs to fit you, not force you into a strategy that's not going to be suited for you.
Correct. Very, very beautifully explained. So this is really very beautifully explained, and I would definitely go for your book. So will you
The
please
book,
explain,
I'm
what
sorry,
your
I was going
book
to say the
is
book
all
is
about?
available in India.
So what it is all about, and who should read your book?
Well,
I am definitely going to have it.
I write this book. I write for people like yourself. I write books for people who would never consciously buy a book on money, but probably should. Might have taken a formal course in money and didn't like it. Have a partner, friend, husband who is into money, but you're not, because it's not unusual to have two folks with very different money temperaments, which is okay, but you need to know the difference. So the book really is, it's a very easy read. I call it an airplane book. It's relatively short. It's easy to work with. And there's no money recommendations in there. There's no talk about financial products or markets or any of that stuff. It's based on a metaphor of going to the market or the mall, following a character in some short stories, going through spending situations and what is going on in your brain and your head. And then I walk you through the entire process of discovering your money biology, your money beliefs, then establishing your values, your money temperament, and how you process information. And then I have a scenario in there where you're meeting with a financial advisor. And for the first time, you meet a financial advisor who focuses on the behavior, not the product and service. It's a great read. It's easy. And what I found, it's universal.
It is
It's not written.
universal.
Yeah,
Yes.
it's not written for the US. It's written for people who spend money and realize that they need to figure out how to do it a little bit better. And I believe you start by understanding yourself.
Yeah, that's great. And Ted, what will you say to those people who who are spendthrift, who just can't stop themselves from, like, I know a friend who is always looking for, when she's bored or she is having anxiety, she just go to a e-commerce place and place an order for something on a daily basis
Yeah.
because her wallet is full. But at the
Yep.
end of the month, she finds that she has, spent much more than saving anything, because online payments are just click of,
Exactly.
touch phone, not even a click.
That's not unusual. And I'll tell you, social media makes it more of a problem, because social media helps you find things you didn't know you needed until you just got off Facebook or internet or TV or something like that. And all of a sudden you need one of these and you didn't even know what it was, 2 hours ago, but you ordered it and it shows up and you go, I don't know what I'm going to do with it, but I have one. I think, again, with folks like that, you have to sit down and have an exercise in the book. And chapter 5 is probably one of the most important chapters in the book, which is the money value piece, where you sit down and really define what's important. And if people really want to know what's important about money to them, number one, look at your calendar. Where do you spend your activity? That's a key indicator of what's important to you in life and culturally where you want to put your effort and your money. Number two, look at your bank account. Determine where you are spending your money. Then be very, very honest. If your goal is to have a new car every year and you can afford it, and that's your number one value, I can help you do that. However, that's a short-term focus. 40, 50 years from now, you're probably not going to care what you were driving in 2021. You may be more concerned about taking care of family and grandchildren and taking care of yourself and health and making a difference and leaving a legacy. The challenge with money is it's called opportunity cost. You can't do both unless you have unlimited resources. So you have to choose. Probably the most difficult thing with money is sitting down and having that very honest conversation with yourself or somebody that cares about you, that you're spending, making decisions with, and sit down and really define what's important about money, where you want to be long-term, and how you're going to get there. Does that help?
Yeah. So we can call it like little meditation about yourself and your money.
Yep.
Yeah.
No, I said there are also some very simple things you can do. If you're a spender, most supermarkets, for example, if you're going into a traditional Western design supermarket that you're going to find in Europe and most of the modern cities in India, they're set up the same way. They're designed to that you go in and turn right, and all the expensive stuff is to the right. Well, go into the store and go left. It'll be amazing how much money you can spend. If you know you're a spender, make it easy to save. Have an automatic draft. So money goes into your investments and your savings first, and make it very difficult to get that money out. I had a client a number of years ago who in the US, we have retirement plans, and she was putting the maximum of money she could into a retirement plan. And I said, you tend to be a spender. And she got offensive to that because I don't think so, because I'm putting money into savings. But she was making $250,000 US a year, but only saving $10,000 US a year.
Okay. So percentage matters.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So she was a spender. So, and I don't judge, but you need to be realistic. You need to understand that at some point you're going to be held accountable for your behavior. I don't care what it is, but you need to know what it is. And then, for example, in your case, you and your husband probably have different money temperaments, which is fine, but you need to know what it is. He probably gets frustrated with you from time to time because he feels that your spending habits and your interest in money are just ridiculous. On the other hand, your head gets all confused and blows up when you start talking about the details of money and things like that. That's just a great example of you have different temperaments, but you figured it out. So what I've done with Money Makes Me Temperament, Discover Your Money Temperament in the book is provide a very easy, non-threatening way to sit down and have that very important conversation, because you're both right, but you're both wrong.
Yeah.
And the trick is to come together and find that common ground. And it says, I can accept your spending behavior within the following parameters. And I can accept your analytical approach to money with the following parameters. So together, in the middle where it overlaps, it's going to be much better for both of us. That's what I'm really trying to say. For the first time, instead of listening to the talking heads on television and the experts that are selling the great next get rich quick thing or whatever, sit down and do a personal assessment. What's my relationship with money? Is it good or bad? Am I where I want to be? What are my values? What are my values? Where do I want to be, not only this weekend, but next month, next quarter, next year, 5 years, 10 years? And if my behavior does not change, will I be where I want to be? If I'm online and things are tracking, fine, continue what you're doing. But in most cases, people could use some fine tuning. And remember, you can have a significant economic, cultural event that can throw this all out of kilter. And the COVID-19 is a great example. That's called a black swan event. Nobody thought it was going to happen. Nobody anticipated, but it was significant and it threw a lot of people off course. you have to plan for those things. So be human with
Yes,
your money, but understand how you're human.
correct. And COVID-19, like medical, particularly healthcare, has shown so much of expenses, like bigger than, larger than savings. And insurance company not coming forward, many of them, to cover, uh, here at least. Some are forthcoming, some are not. And sometimes, people are not aware of going for insurance, health insurance in particular.
And,
They feel that nothing can happen to them, or there are there is such a confusion or myths that nothing can happen to us, first thing. Secondly, we can take care of it by home remedies, but when you go to hospital,
exactly. Well, and there's some, I've
and
got some,
COVID is unprecedented. COVID
yeah,
has broken all the rules, all things.
absolutely, absolutely. And there are also intergenerational challenges. I've got some good friends, primarily doctors, that have emigrated to the US from India, and their parents have now come over, and you can, and it's very interesting when I'm at their house, see the difference between the grandparents who are Indian, probably emigrated in their 50s or 60s, my friend who's a doctor who's in his 40s, and his children who are Indian but American Indian.
Correct.
The cultures and the differences are absolutely,
Enormous. It would be enormous.
yes. So my friend who's making a lot of money, who's doing very, very well economic, is trying to balance these conflicting issues of culture and demographics and what they think is important. So his parents think that still having tangible items, primarily gold and jewelry and insurance, is the way to go. He's an American businessman, a doctor. He's doing things, and his children are spending the money as fast as they can make it. So there's some inherent conflict there. And I had to sit down with him and just say, okay, let's have the discussion here. Because, okay, what's important about money to you and your family? You've got a responsibility to your parents and their desires, and they're in a little conflict between the changing cultures. Very much so. They came of age in the 60s. And India was a very different place than it is today. Their
But
children.
that kind of conflict, I must tell you, Ted, is, while my parents are in India, they have not visited any foreign country except for the neighboring countries.
Right.
Then we, as husband and wife, we are being in India, but we have toured world and have been abroad for some small times. Then my children. So that kind of conflict is still there. Only thing is that that generation conflict is there.
It's
Things
inherent.
have developed like that.
Exactly.
Generation has grown up.
Exactly. And then, India itself is a very large, diverse country with
Yes,
it's
correct.
multicultural in the sense that there are very old and ancient
Right.
cultures within India that
And
are
there are
different.
layers. There are layers of culture.
Exactly. And it's the same thing in the US.
Yeah.
Anytime you're talking millions of people in an ancient culture, in a very warm, proud civilization that goes back, generations. Sometimes there are places, Mumbai, in my opinion, is the Silicon Valley of India. I mean, that's kind of the way to describe it. Well, that's very different than other places in India. So you also have cultural conflicts within your country. We do the same thing here in the United States. The East Coast and the West Coast are different in the middle of the country. And we still look at each other on spending decisions and values. Remember values, because remember, money is a cultural phenomenon. Money was invented, if you will, by humans to facilitate the exchange of commerce, the movement of culture through different areas, and the engagement of people, relationships. So money and our money patterns are a representation of the cultural values that we've had that have evolved over years. Now today, at warp speed, we can bump into each other in ways we never could before. And it's like, wow. When your grandparents go to just a different place in India, they're sometimes surprised. But you put them on an airplane and fly them to Jakarta or Sydney or Los Angeles, it's a very, very different
very huge.
experience.
Yes.
But it's still people. The humanity is universal.
It's seamless.
Yeah.
So that's why when I meet, I have had experience of being in Europe most of the time,
Mhm.
and in Australia and in Singapore and few other countries, but not to US. And I found you are very right in saying that humanity is same. Culture may be different, but the issues are same.
Exactly.
Even the religions may be different, but the way, religions are, for me, are name tags. They are the tags we put on ourselves. But I have similar needs. We deal with things similarly. We have similar issues. We have same emotional expectations of each other in relations.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And
And
that's
same
primitive
problems of
feeling
working
brain.
mothers. Yeah. Similar problems of unemployed youth, similar problems of a working mother, similar problems of couples, being in good relation or in bad relations, whatever, similar problems of bringing up kids, similar problems of startup businesses. So rules may be different, laws may be a little bit different, but crime is also same. It is
Exactly.
seamless.
Yes.
So,
Yes.
so
Without a
basically,
doubt.
we have divided worlds into continents. So climate, because of the climate, there is a different features. You tend to have a different complexion, different features because of the climatic geographic location you are in. But basic issues are all same. They're
Exactly. Exactly.
seamless.
To me, the whole issue of ethnicity is because you're lazy.
Yeah.
If you're using that as a reason to make a decision, it's incredibly lazy. It's cultural, it's social economic, it's geographic. But at the final analysis, we're human. We're always going to do human things. Our brains are designed to keep us alive and pass on our genes. We're not good at doing a lot of the things in modern society. Because we're not good at that, our primitive brains retract and rebel and say it's them versus us, when in reality, everybody is just acting very natural for their circumstances based on their humanness. So on the good side is technology like we're using right now, smartphones, has opened it up to a whole new world. I'll just use, your kids will appreciate this probably. They may like K-pop music, which came out of Korea. I don't understand it, but that's okay. I didn't know what Bollywood was until we had the ability to see it beamed into my house real time. And you've been introduced to Fast and Furious and
Correct.
uses of technology that you didn't understand. So in a lot of respects, this is very liberating, but no
Very, very
problem is solved. It
liberating.
creates a
Yes.
new challenge and we move forward to it. But since people and money are the common denominator of a modern society, and most societies do not teach either very well, I thought it was important to bring them together. You cannot talk about people and not talk about money. You can't talk about money and not talk about people. So let's bring them together with the money behavior system and first say right off the bat, we're human. We're going to do human things with money. Don't be surprised. But we need to understand that process, which means we're driven by our values. The values are things that are important to us, which is usually reflected in our culture. Then we're going to react to those drives in our culture by spending money. And you're going to spend money in a way that makes you feel good, primitive brain. And you're going to process the information in a way that works for you, our primitive brain. But you've got to stop for a minute and go, wait a minute. I got to move to my thinking brain, my modern brain, and say, I got to get this under control or it's all going to blow up. That's basically my message. But I do it in such a way that it's written for people that aren't terribly interested in this stuff, will probably not read a book about this stuff, but they need to.
Yes, there is need. Thank you, Ted, for this wonderful session today. I love talking to you. Thank you so much.